Ever imagined turning an after the kids went to bed DIY project turning into an eco-revolution? Join us today on the Scenic Route podcast as Billie Asmus, a neurodiverse entrepreneur and mother, shares her inspiring journey of transforming a simple idea into sustainable business success. Hi, and welcome to the Scenic Route podcast, where we believe in embracing life's journey with purpose, curiosity, and a bit of potty humor. I'm an uncool mom, and I'm always looking out for that perfect slice of gluten-free rhubarb pie. Every week, I get the joy of sitting down with dreamers and doers who dare to take the road less traveled in pursuit of their own magic. Together, we dive into the inspiring stories of soulful entrepreneurs and visionary leaders who boldly share their beliefs, lessons, and fuck-ups. Excited? So am I. You're exactly where you're meant to be. And now, let's take this conversation off the beaten track. Billie Asmus, an inventor and entrepreneur, combined her passion for DIY projects and the demands of everyday motherhood. Billie Asmus, an inventor and entrepreneur, combined her passion for DIY projects and the demands of everyday motherhood into a groundbreaking invention. Experiencing the inefficiencies of standard plastic paint trays, she created the Repaint Tray, a reusable paint tray liner and lid, addressing several common yet overlooked problems in painting. This eco-friendly and practical invention is soon to hit the shelves of Lowe's home improvement stores across the United States, showcasing her commitment to practical solutions and sustainability. Billie, welcome to the Scenic Route podcast.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
What you don't know, Billie and I, we had to reschedule several times, all of because it was my fault. Last time I fell asleep while putting the kid to bed, and everyone listening who has kids knows how that goes. When you're like, you read 3 stories and you're trying to bring them over to Never Ever Land gently, and you start to breathe very deep and regularly, and calm your entire body down until you fall asleep before your child does. That's most likely what happened last time. I'm sure you can relate, Billie.
Oh, yeah. Yes. My daughter lately has been into listening to very calming music before going to sleep. And so snuggling with her is really hard to not fall asleep with her. And so it's a battle to just leave her room after snuggling. So I totally get it.
Oh, dear. So we already know do you have one child or two, or do you have two?
Two. Yep. I have a 4-year-old girl and a 19-month-old son.
Yes. My son is 4 too. So yay for the tornado. Yeah. Yeah, everyone in Oregon's yeah. Love us. We got this. So tell us a bit more about yourself. What were the big crossroads in your life?
Yeah. So right now I have a small business, and I invented a product called the Repaint Tray, which is a reusable paint tray liner and a lid. And essentially before that came about, I was refinishing and restoring furniture for clients, and I was painting every single day, and essentially just got sick of all the plastic paint tray liners that I was going through, and I wanted something reusable and more eco-friendly. And to my surprise, nothing was showing up. And so I just kind of came up with this idea and decided to pursue it. And it has just been this insane journey for the last couple of years, and so many roadblocks in the way. But I think I've just kind of had this overwhelming hope for the future that it's just really kind of pushed me forward and has helped me to keep going.
Right. It's exactly that, right? You're able to, or at least that's for me, if you have something to that's bigger, then it just kind of motivates you to go step by step. What's that bigger thing for you? Is it and in terms of sustainability and leaving a better place, or what is your bigger thing that keeps you going?
There's a few different things. I think one motivator, even though, kids are stressful.
Sure are.
They are always going to, yes, I think they're always going to be a motivator, because I think as a parent, you naturally want to create this better future for your kids. And so I would say that's definitely one big motivator that has pushed me to keep going, is because I do want to create a better future for my kids and be able to provide for them and not have to worry, about what's going to happen next. But The other big thing is being over here in the United States. I'm sure you are well aware that our maternity leave and parental leave is horrific, and it really sucks just watching it happen all around you. And I have been fortunate enough to stay home with my kids for at least like the first year of their life, which not many parents in the United States can say that. And it's really hard watching it and just seeing friends and family members with postpartum depression and having experienced it myself. Like, there just needs to be this bigger change in the world. And so I've always kind of had this overarching goal to be able to create a big enough business to be able to employ families and mothers and people, that are neurodiverse, because I do have ADHD, and just being able to be more accommodating and open towards these groups of people, because the world is not made for them in these scenarios. And so I just want to be able to create a business where those can just be welcome, to be able to not be afraid to tell me that they're starting a family, and not be afraid to say, hey, I need to take a break because, I'm autistic and I'm overstimulated, or my ADHD is just out of control, or my anxiety is just really getting the best of me today. I need to take a break. And I get that. So that, I would say, is another one of my huge motivators for just really wanting to explode this business.
I so get that. And I'm sure many people of you listening too, because I had neurodiverse people on the podcast before, and I have people with chronic illness, and myself, I'm dealing with chronic illness, and like, you gotta kind of like structure your business in a way that suits you for it to be sustainable to you and ultimately like fun. Otherwise, no, not fun at all. But like, there has to be this push for more diversity and inclusion. And right now, although I feel especially HTG there has become more awareness in the online space. It's still something that is not much talked of. Like, when you look back, what were some, you said before, so pointedly, oh, the world's not made for them. What do you have personal experiences where you're like, the world's not made for me. This is not suiting me.
Yeah. I was fortunate enough to be diagnosed with ADHD when I was like in middle school. My whole family's in the medical field, so I think they had kind of recognized it at an early stage and were able to kind of get me some help. But, even back then, there was just not really any accommodation for people with ADHD. And it was just such a huge struggle for me, especially in school. Like, academically was just not my strong suit. It just was so hard to retain information and important information. I could remember like the paint color on a wall that I had painted in a room like 5 years before that. But if I needed to remember important information for an exam, there was no way. It was in and out. And it just made it really hard being in a classroom setting or being among my peers, because I just felt stupid all the time because I couldn't remember basic information. And some teachers and professors, even in college, were not super accommodating for me to be able to like take a test in a closed room by myself, or, taking a test when it wasn't timed. So that way I wasn't worried about my time, but I could actually focus on the exam itself. So there was just a lot of situations academically that it was just not accommodating for me with ADHD. But especially in the corporate world too, it's the same thing. I think some people with ADHD, at least for myself, like, we thrive having a deadline, because without a deadline or a flexible deadline, we allow ourselves to procrastinate way too much until like that very end time, until it needs to happen. And I still do that. But, in a corporate setting, especially where you have to create like your own schedule and your own deadlines and everything, it makes it really, really difficult to be able to get those things done, as well as prioritizing what the more important task is. And, depending on the setting you are at when it comes to your job or your career, some atmospheres you might be able to thrive because you're learning something new every day, but other days where it's the same thing over and over again, and there's, either too much structure or not enough structure.
It really needs just perfect balance of, I need some structure, but it needs to be flexible. Otherwise, I'm procrastinating. If it's too much, I'm like freaking out.
Yes. Yeah. there's got to be a good flow when it comes to things. And I think being a small business owner, when you have your own business, you do have to kind of create your own schedule that's going to be flexible and work for you. And also like recognize those signs of when you're starting to hit burnout. So that way you don't hit it full force.
Yeah.
You're allowing yourself to take a break and rejuvenate.
What are some like early telltale signs, right? Because when you realize things are not going so well, right? Because I mean, we always know, I'm sure we're all aware, like I've been through burnout. Most of you listening have been to burnout. We all kind of like know the big ones. But for me, one of my subtle telltale signs is when I'm kind of like feeling antsy, when I need to move just for the purpose of like moving, or like driving in my car just for the purpose of driving, because there's something that needs to process. Do you have kind of like early telltale signs that you look out for where you're like, Billie, nope?
Yeah. I think for me, I can tell I'm starting to hit burnout when I always joke that I become a potato, where it's just like, I'm afraid of sitting down because I worry that I'm going to sit down and then it is going to be so difficult for me to get back up because the motivation is gone. And it is so hard to just like communicate between my brain and my body, because my brain will be screaming at me, get up and just do something. But my body's like, nah, I'm just going to chill out here for a bit. So
interesting.
I can tell I'm starting to hit a wall when I get to that point where it's just like, there is nothing that is pushing me forward at that moment.
That's so interesting how brains are differently wired. Like, I mean, my body brain are doing the exact opposite. My brain's like, chill, you got chill. And my body's like, moving. It's interesting. Like, and
it's the opposite for me.
right? Like, interesting. And I mean, and as like, of course, there's no like golden rule, golden ticket, whatever blueprint to work with like ADHD or whatever everyone is dealing with. It just like knowing yourself and figuring it out. And can you share with us some insights on how you like structure your entrepreneurship, like your business, your entrepreneurship, how you're building your business in accord, like to work well with your ADHD and also with 2 kids. I mean, that we haven't even talked about that.
Right. I mean, for one, day to day looks so different. I actually have like a weekly schedule that I try and stick to, where I assign each day. I'm sorry, my dog is barking.
I couldn't even hear him. So,
okay. So I have a weekly schedule that I try and stick with. So that way each day I have something that I should focus on. So that way I'm not just like jumping around from task to task to task and then not actually accomplishing anything. So Mondays, I try to keep that to updating my website or writing a blog post or any other type of like social media content planning. And then I do like Wednesdays, I do all my bookkeeping and everything that I might need to update there or anything financially related, make sure my receipts are in place, which is like my hardest day. I have to plan that day because I am not a financial person. So like if that is not on my schedule, it will not get done. So sorry to my book.
Oh God, yeah. I feel you. Yeah.
But I mean, just being able to try and have a general schedule of what my week should look like day to day and realizing like, okay, that day could be jam-packed full of things I know I should be working on. Or, maybe I did a good job of staying up to date on all my bookkeeping that I know that's only going to take me a half an hour to update those things each week. And then I'm going to be done and I can focus on other things. And whether that's just running errands for the house or, taking care of other things or whatever it may be. But I think just with ADHD in general is like having some form of structure there, but allowing enough flexibility as it comes and goes and not beating yourself up if you don't stick to that schedule or that routine every single day.
Yeah. I love that you said that. That's the most important thing. Not beating yourself up about it, regardless of what you're dealing with. Like, just don't crap on yourself.
Right.
Yeah, we can all take that a bit more to heart, I suppose. So I'm curious, like with the Repaint Tray, which I still think it's absolutely nuts that no one ever thought of like a reusable solution. Like, hello, like, I mean, wow. So kudos for you for actually making like the connections of being like, hey, no, this should actually be recyclable and like reusable and like, what the hell is going on?
Mm-hmm.
Was there ever like a moment where you found yourself in a spot where like had to decide whether kind of like to throw in the towel and give up or just keep going?
I think there was definitely like a few times that I had those moments. I was probably about like 2 years in. And mind you, that first year that I was working on things, I didn't tell anybody about my idea or my product.
Oh, so you were a secret entrepreneur.
Yes, and I was working on it and everything. And I was also pregnant with my son and had just had him. And that was chaotic because it was like 2 weeks before my patent was filed. He was born. And then he was extremely colic. And I remember trying to have like Zoom meetings with him like strapped to my chest. And I was just like praying. I'm like, please don't scream. Please don't scream. And then he would just let out this piercing scream, which he's like, you know, a year and a half now. And he still has a piercing scream. I don't know how he does it. But there were times when he was colic. I was exhausted. And I hadn't even announced my idea to the world yet. But I was like ready to be done because I just felt like I wasn't making progress and it just felt really defeating, even though like I hadn't really done much at that point other than try and file a patent and start an entrepreneurship class that I had taken. But that I think was a big pivotal point. But when I had finished that entrepreneurship class and I made like third place in one of their pitch competitions, and because I made it top 3, thank you. Because I made top 3, I was automatically nominated to go on to an even larger pitch competition, which was statewide. And I was nominated as the top 10, one of the top 10 startups in the state of Iowa. And that was exciting. And that was the only reason that I had brought my product or my idea public, was because this was already going to be like in the newspapers and everything with the local.
Oh, you kind of had to.
And so I was like, yes, I was like, I better start, you know, telling people about this.
I love that.
That way they're not just like surprised.
I'm like always kind of like cooking up something in secret. And then I'm like, you know, hello, I have this whole new thing. And people go like, wait, what? What? Like, when did that happen? I'm like, you know, it started a year ago.
Right? I know. Yeah, it's just on a whim. That's another ADHD thing. And it's just like, why not? But I think the other big pivotal moment was when I realized like how much this was going to cost financially was really daunting. And I remember kind of putting things on pause for like just a few months because I was trying to figure out how I was going to fund this and, you know, how realistic is it? Because I think when you have this big financial risk involved, especially when it comes to business, you're not just thinking about the potential risk, but you're thinking about like the people that you could potentially be putting at risk because, you know, I have a family and we're a sole income household with my husband working full time. I don't take an income yet with my business. I've been working on it for 3 years. And I think that was just really scary because, you know, with 2 young kids at home, I just did not want to have this really heavy financial burden and be stuck with it and then realize like this isn't going to actually work or this isn't going to make it. So when I kind of got over that hump and was able to get some funding in place, I think it was like that additional motivator that I have just kind of started telling myself, I literally cannot fail. I have no option to fail, but I have to succeed now at this point because there is no other option on the plate right now because for the sake of my family and just for everything that's at stake here in the future.
Yeah, this is sometimes where I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I'm a service provider because like all I need is like a laptop and an internet connection and like Canva and I'm like, I'm good. Yeah. And not having the additional pressure of like, oh, I need so much money just to have stock to pay for shipping and whatever and whatnot. So how were you able to get funding? Like, did you do crowdfund or did you find like an angel share investor or what did you do?
So a couple things. I have done a few different pitch competitions, which has helped some small funding here and there. There's a big pitch competition coming up, 2 of them actually. And those are so hard because the application processes are just so long and so involved, and you're not guaranteed anything. So, it just kind of depends on how much time you want to spend on those types of things for just like the chance of maybe getting funding. But otherwise, I was able to go through, it's called the Iowa Economic Center, and they have small business funding for women entrepreneurs or minority or veteran-owned entrepreneurs that need some sort of funding. And so I was able to get funding through them and being able to kind of get things started that way. But for the most part, most of my funding has otherwise been through pre-orders. And that's kind of been my crowdfunding, so to speak, is, just raising awareness around the product and saying, hey, like your pre-order helps go towards the funding and everything to get me further into the manufacturing process. So that's been really helpful. And I'm thankful for the people that have placed those pre-orders.
Yeah, which is like a pre-order thing is like super smart. Like, so you just also know what is coming in and have more idea what you plan with, as opposed than having like 100,000 trays on stock.
Right.
What again? Like I haven't a fucking clue about product business. I'm like, I can run them, but I have no idea how to run them. So I mean, kudos. So I'm curious, like when were you like, oh, okay, this was a time I totally fucked things up?
There was one specific time that I had partnered with a business to help start the manufacturing process and get the designs done and everything. And the cost that they were coming back, or the estimates, were just like 3 times higher than what I had anticipated, first of all, but also 3 times higher than what the general information I was getting from other businesses, other manufacturing and everything. And I remember kind of like sitting on it, and they were really pushy about it and saying like, you need to do this, you need to do that, and all that stuff. And I kind of just felt a little bit taken advantage of because, again, I was new in this space. I mean, I still am considered new, still learning everything when it comes to manufacturing and logistics and shipping and all that. And so I just felt a lot of pressure, and they're like, you need to put this money in now and all this stuff. And I was like, okay. And so I had paid them $5,000 to start working on some designs and things and push things forward. And at the end of the day, it just wasn't a good fit. And so, I did lose some money, and it wasn't ideal, but I know it could have been a lot worse in the long run had I just, if I had said yes to keep moving forward. But the owner had actually, he started like preaching me on my own product and was like, well, people will like this, and you should do this, and this is blah blah. And I'm
interesting. That's a level of mansplaining.
Oh yeah, and I just got pissed. I was like,
oh my god, rightly so.
And yes, I was just like so mad.
Especially you came from like the painting, but you have a painter background. Like it's not like you did what?
Yes,
I don't know what the hell before. So,
right, and my degree is in marketing and communications, and so like I have experience in the marketing world too, and I do have some experience in the product world, just in a very different industry, and so it just was like very. I don't know. It was so frustrating and so forward of him to just be able to come off that way. And I never had a super good gut feeling about the company and the partnership to begin with. And I don't know why I didn't listen to that gut feeling, because I knew I should have. But I'll never forget that moment when he started doing this and saying these things. And it was like this CEO in me just kind of came out, and I just like cut him off. And I was like, you don't get to tell me about my own product and things that I already know. Like, I know my product best. I know my business best. Like, thanks, but no thanks. I don't think this is going to work out. You can send me my artwork, and I think we're going to be done. And he was like kind of shocked and like leaned back in his chair, and he's like, oh, okay. And I felt bad because there was one other girl on the call, and she was just completely silent. And I was like, yeah, okay.
No, but maybe she learned from this to not take shit. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm over it now.
Yeah. Oh, man. This brings me back to like all the memories when I was in corporate of like people telling me how I should run my job or how I should write my goddamn emails. And I'm like, no, actually, no, hard pass. Oh, so let's go back. You said something interesting. You you kind of had this gut feeling and you didn't really listen to it at first, which I'm like, hello, yes, been there, got burned badly. What do you think? Why didn't you listen to it fully?
I think I just didn't listen to my gut entirely, was because this company that was recommended to me was recommended by a connection and sort of like a friend that I had met through a conference, and he talked very highly of them. Yeah, and also my first like couple interactions with them were really great. And mind you, I had a different point of contact when I had first started with them versus like moving forward. And so I think just, I had these good feelings up front about it, but as I kind of got further in that process, like, this doesn't feel right. I don't feel good about this. And the cost associated with it was just like, it was way too expensive and unrealistic from other cost points that I had gotten in the past. So I was just like, no, I need to step back, and I'm glad I walked away from that.
What kind of learnings did you take from this in terms of like sharpening your intuition and like trusting it more?
I would say two things is I definitely listen to my gut more. I think it's there for a reason when you get those, those feelings. It is. Yeah. And, when you get that intuition, whether it's good or bad, I think you need to follow it. And whether that's full force or not, or just exploring it, that's, I think, an important thing to do. But the second thing that I think came from all of that is there were several people in this process of my business that kept saying, like, you need to start acting like a CEO. You need to start doing these things. I'm like, okay, but how do you act like a CEO? Whatever. And so it wasn't until like kind of that pivotal moment where I just kind of needed to stick up for myself and say, no, like, this is not okay. And I don't feel comfortable with that. It just kind of standing up for yourself inside of me. Yeah, that I was like, okay, I can be the decision maker and I can be the leader that I need to be when it comes to my business and this industry.
So how are you being the leader you need to be today?
That's tough because I don't have employees or anything yet.
Well, you are still your employee, and you need to be in leadership for yourself as well, right? Like,
right.
Or with business relationships. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think, I would say the biggest thing as far as leadership goes is there's two things that I try and do is whenever I come to a crossroads when it comes to a decision, I always try and ask myself, what would a great leader do? Because I think when we're kind of stuck on a decision or not really sure which road to take with things, we always kind of want somebody else to answer those questions for us and just make the decision so we can move on with our lives.
Yes,
right?
Yes. And listen to people who take online courses and like hire online business gurus because you hope they tell you what to do. Listen.
Right. Yeah. And it all comes down to you and like who you want to be and what you want your business to be. And so when I'm stuck on something, I just kind of take a step back and say, okay, what would a great leader do in this situation? And maybe you have somebody that you really look up to that is a leader, whether you've worked with them or not, or they're a parent or a friend. I think the good thing is just like, how would you answer that for yourself in that situation?
Yeah.
But two, the other thing I would say when it comes to leadership is there's a lot of things that I want to practice and implement in my business as I do grow with employees. And I need to practice those things myself now, so that way it becomes second nature when I do start.
It's already company culture, right? Like it doesn't.
Right. Exactly. And that includes like taking breaks when you start feeling burned out, and being able to say, nope, I'm overwhelmed. I need to take a little bit of time and just spend time with my family and get outside or whatever it might look like. Because in my mind, I don't feel like your business or profit especially should become more important than the people that are in your life. So those are just some things that I have tried to really implement just in the last, couple of years as I've been starting to grow my business and just kind of work on it myself, and hopes to implement that in the future.
So you said, what would a great leader do? So a great leader would put people first. Always.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah, which I mean, I don't know. I have met a few leaders and they surely did not.
Right.
So,
and that's the thing. Yeah, there's going to be some bad leaders in the process. And while they might have been successful and have made it really far in life, I think there's going to be something that's always going to come back to bite them and they're going to fall.
Yeah. And I sometimes really feel that there is change. Like when I talked to our babysitter, I think a week or two ago, she is 19 now, well, 7, very young. And it was just so interesting. And like she said, like, oh, like I can't babysit next week. My boyfriend's going through like a rough time mentally. Just I'll be there to support him. Like and just this openness to talk about mental challenges and like, and like, I mean, my Puma parents surely did not ever talk about healthy mind, whatever.
Right.
So I had to learn a whole lot of things and like pay a whole lot of money to therapy, and I'm trying to teach my kid differently. And I really feel that there's a dawn, maybe it's the eternal fucking optimist in me, but I truly believe there's a dawn coming where there's a whole new generation of where it's normal to ask for pronouns so they feel comfortable, where it's normal to take breaks because you're fucking exhausted, or to accommodate people who have ADHD or whatever it is, right? Because that's just the fucking kind thing to do.
Yes, I could not agree more. And honestly, I feel like kindness is one of those things that's always going to win. Like I said, the bad leaders, the bad apples, they're going to fall eventually, even though they've been successful. They're still going to fall at some point. And I seriously believe that kindness and inclusion is going to be the winning apple over everything here in the future.
Agreed. Right. And I love that you build your business by this really high moral standard, right? Because I don't know, it's always so easy to even I had this conversation recently where like, oh, you could outsource at work to like a virtual assistant in the Philippines. And I'm like, well, not per se against this idea, but what are you paying your virtual assistant in the Philippines? Oh, it's amazing. It's like $4 an hour. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure she's not making a living with $4 an hour even in the Philippines, right? Like, it's insane, right? It's always kind of like this thing of even saying, hey, okay, I do define success differently. And yes, money is important. And I want everyone to have the money they want, need, desire. But just going after the money, we've done that. We've been there. Let's try something else because it's not serving us well.
Right. Yeah. I think there just definitely needs to be a change overall when it comes to just the corporate world in general, because needs are not being met. Everybody's burnt out. Everybody's tired. There's not enough childcare. There's not enough parental leave.
Yeah. 12 weeks, which is better than in the US, but for Europe, that's really bad.
Okay. Yeah. I thought Switzerland was like one of the best places in the world.
Well, for what? For rich billionaires, it sure is. No, I mean, I'm like, this is all from very, very high level of everything. But with 12 weeks, which is nothing. If you have a baby, 12 weeks is jack shit. And there is no guarantee you have your workplace ever. Like, Germany is much better. You have like a year of like parent time, and they have to keep your job open, your position open for when you come back. Like, there's so much more. And now there's like all these things that I'm like, oh, why didn't no one ever, like, for example, my kid, he just started kindergarten here at age 4, and kindergarten times are from 8:30 to 11:50. Well, thank you very much. What am I supposed to do with these 2.5 hours I get off in the morning? Like, there's no, that's a topic for another day. Everything that goes wrong, it's
Yes.
a lot of things going wrong.
Part two.
A lot of things going wrong here too. But I mean, you know what? I just had an interesting thought. You before said you kind of like you were hiding your business for a very long time.
Mm.
So what other gifts or talents that you have are you typically hide from others too?
I'm not sure. I feel like I'm pretty open aside from that. I think part of the reason I had hid the idea in general was, one, I wasn't totally protected like with my patent quite yet.
Okay.
And
So really like
two,
no like espionage here. Just
right. I didn't want to tell anybody for the sake of somebody's going to steal it.
So trust issues clearly.
Yeah, sure. But I think the other thing is, when you have this idea that's early on, no matter how amazing you might think it is, people will have their opinion.
Oh, sure they don't. Sure do they?
Yeah. And so I think like I was really nervous to just tell people aside from my husband, because I was not prepared for people to be like, well, that's stupid, or why would you waste your time with that? Or do you know how much work that's really going to take? And I remember when I kind of first told some of my family, and it was neither good or bad with their reactions. It was just kind of this, just, okay.
Oh, I know.
Like, yeah. And like, that they've got thoughts running in their head, but they're not saying them out loud. Right. And obviously since then, like, I've come a long ways. And so they have definitely started to show their support more and more, because I think they realized, oh, she is serious.
It's not just like a one time of, I don't know, a fluke that she had, and so she's serious.
Right. Yes. And I think because, in their defense, with my ADHD, I have constant ideas running through my brain all the time. That I'm like, this would be great, and this would be great, and I need to do this, because I have like 10,000 other half-finished projects in my house that I've started on and not finished. So I could see from their viewpoint that, oh, great, this might be another project that she's going to start and not actually follow through with. But that has not happened. I think there's a lot of things that are pushing me forward.
What, 3 years, 4 years now?
Yeah, 3 years, yeah.
So this is, and that doesn't usually, I'd say, that is not like, yeah, you're serious. Like, otherwise, you probably would not have.
Yes. No, definitely not.
Was there like something that made you more resilient in terms of, I don't really give a shit what they think about my idea. I know it's great.
I think there was a couple things. I would say when I went through school again and I took an entrepreneurship class, they really push you to do market research and interview people. And that was really hard, because I had to talk to hundreds of different types of people, whether they were in painting or just homeowners, or they just did it for fun. And I couldn't tell them about my product. I just had to ask them, like, what are your struggles with this? Like, what are your frustrations? And I couldn't ask any type of leading questions or tell them about what I was working on. And so I was gathering all of this information for a long time, and it just really kind of started to reiterate, like, okay, I am moving in the right direction, because my product is solving a lot of these issues that people are facing when it comes to painting. And one of the questions I remember asking was like, do you wish there were more eco-friendly alternatives when it comes to painting, or painting supplies that were recyclable or something? And it was like 80% of people that I had interviewed said, yeah, I wish there were more eco-friendly alternatives, that I didn't just have to go to the store all the time and throw them out. So when I was doing those interviews, I think it definitely reiterated that I was in the right direction, that I was doing the right thing. But the second time that really happened was when I had posted a video. Let's see, when was this? This was back in June. I had posted this video just talking about my product, and I was just saying like, hey, I'm Billie, and I created this thing called the Repaint Tray. And I showed my prototype. I just talked about, I'm a mom. I get the struggle of what it's like to do DIY projects and have kids around. And these are my frustrations. And here's why I invented this product. And I hope to share it with you guys, and that you can enjoy it too. And that video went crazy viral. And it was like within 48 hours, I had over like $10,000 in pre-order sales.
Amazing.
And people were reaching out. Yeah, people were reaching out globally. Like I had somebody from France and Canada and Australia and Denmark and like Italy, all these places, and people were reaching out like, can you ship it to me? And can you I'm like, listen, I haven't even started shipping in the United States. Like,
yeah, and international shipping is like,
but really expensive. And I've been working on it. I'm trying to figure it all, but you know,
well, you can ship them to me and I ship them on. Like,
perfect. That's the plan. So seeing people globally like excited about the product and saying like, I've never pre-ordered something so fast in my entire life. It was just this big confirmation that like, oh, I'm moving in the right direction. People want this. They see value in it, you know, and they see value in me. And it was just really exciting to kind of just see that explode, because then it was like this additional boost of motivation to just keep pushing forward.
Yeah. And I love that you shared this post. I mean, just what you said, I'm like the branding expert in me is like, yes. Like, I don't give a shit about if it goes viral, right? Like, I give a shit about what actually is it, what was in it for you that you got pre-orders, right? Viral is nice, but whatever. It's shiny object syndrome. We don't care. But back orders, we care. Like, when you said like, oh, you know, I just said, hey, I'm Billie, I invented this, I have ADHD, I'm a mom, this is what I struggle with. I already knew like, she's going to tell me that this hit viral, because it was like, yes. All the boxes. Like, it's authentic, it's personal, it's like very niche. I'm like, she's going to tell me this went viral. So yes, I loved it. Yeah. The branding person is very happy.
Well, and also, yeah, my degree is in marketing and I used to work, you know, so I get it. I know the points that you should be hitting, and I'm bad at content creation most days, but yeah, it's hard.
It is, right? And especially when you're in the midst of things. So yeah, if you're in the arena, you're not always doing what you preach, and it's just hard. Yeah. If there was like a fairy godmother showing up and offering like one wish, what would you use that wish for right now?
Oh man. I mean, there's like a ton of things that I would wish for right now, but it would either be the money,
additional funding,
forward. Right.
Do you know
or there is a really
to actually like really move forward?
At minimum right now, I need $65,000, and that helps me purchase the first round of orders to be able to get them over to the United States and start shipping them out to people that have pre-ordered or people that will be ordering in the near future. So that is just for the orders. That's not even covering like the shipping and fulfillment fees or anything else in between. But I would say the fairy godmother wish. There is a really big pitch competition coming up with Lowe's, and I had so many people reach out that had sent me the link to their pitch competition, because if you make it to their second round, then you get invited to pitch in person to Lowe's corporate and to some of their buyers and executives. And if they pick you, which this is like a global competition, if they pick you, then they put in a $5 million purchase order agreement.
Wow.
And will distribute your product. Yeah, they'll distribute your product to over 1,000 retail stores.
And wow, that's like complete game changer, because getting your product in is
right.
So I have one client who has a product-based business, and just to fulfill like the minimal orders that they even would consider putting you on their shelves is insane. So this would be amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that would be a freaking dream. So I just finished like their first round application and everything, and I don't find out until November if I've been accepted to go to the in-person pitch. But again, I had like posted a video. It was very similar to that other one where I was just like, hey, I'm Billie, I did this, blah, blah, blah. And Lowe's wanted a more specific video. They want to know like why we should put your product on your shelf. You know, what is the problem that you solve for people and what it would mean to you if you were selected. And so I had kind of created a video around that, and I had posted it, and it did not go viral by any means. But the cool thing is I had posted it on LinkedIn, and a girl that I knew from high school, which we went to 2 different high schools, and I honestly like completely forgot she existed. So really sorry about that. But she had shared my video on LinkedIn, and she's like, hey, I know this girl. And she's like, and I work in Lowe's corporate.
No
I would love to see this on the shelves. And I was like, no way. I was like so excited that she had shared it. And granted, she's not in the merchandising side of things, but the fact that she had shared it and other Lowe's corporate
surely seen it,
yes, and reacting, right? I was like, somebody might know somebody, and
you never know.
Chain, you know?
Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, I would be so freaking happy if I just made it to that in-person pitch to just be able to talk to people and like get my name in the door somewhere. And if I won it all, then I'd be like, I already told my husband, I'm like, I would bawl my eyes out if they announced my name, probably. I'd be a blubbering mess.
Which is okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I totally get that. So we're all fingers crossed for you, Billie. And if anyone listening who has like at least 65K lying around to invest, go get in touch and go like get yourself a pre-order for a Repaint Tray. I know Europe is a bit tricky with shipping at the moment, or still, but I know I have listeners in the US, so this is your thing. Go check it out. And Billie, where can people find you if they want to like see all your cool videos and stuff?
Yeah, the best place would be Instagram, which my Instagram handle is just repaint_tray. Otherwise, you can just search Repaint Tray on Facebook or go to my website, which is repaintstudios.com. And you'll be able to see all my blogs and a little bit more about me. And you'll be able to listen to any other previous podcast interviews that I've been on as well, too.
That's really cool. We'll link everything in the show notes. And before I let you go, Billie, I have one last question. Which book are you currently reading?
I am reading a book from Simon Leslie. He's actually he's in advertising in the UK, and he wrote a book called "There Is No F in Sales."
Oh, I don't know that one. Oh, I'm intrigued.
Yes, and I am not a salesperson. It's really hard for me to be in sales. I had a bad experience in sales, and so I had the opportunity to talk with him, and he's been just really wonderful, and he's an incredible author and business owner and leader for that matter. He's an incredible leader. And so his book, he talks a lot about sales and just personal growth and also just being a leader in the industry as well. And so I definitely think you should go check it out. It's called There's No F in Sales by Simon.
We'll also got to mention that to show.
And all of his proceeds from his book goes to helping homeless people in the UK too.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, go check it out. Go buy his book.
I'm ordering right now. I have a Kindle, so I have to fucking order on Amazon, which I fucking hate. But I mean, yeah, it is what it is. We're gonna link it in the show notes too. So Billie, thank you so much for being here and talking to us about about what is going on in your mind, how you structure your business, and best of luck with your Repaint Tray.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy we got to talk.
And just like that, we've reached the end of another journey together on the Scenic Route podcast. Thank you for spending time with us. Curious for more stories or in search of the resources mentioned in today's episode? Visit us at scenicroutepodcast.com for everything you need. And if you're ready to embrace your scenic route, I've got something special for you. Step off the beaten path with my Scenic Route affirmation card deck. It's crafted for those moments when you're seeking courage, yearning to trust your inner voice, and eager to carve out a path authentically, unmistakably yours. Pick your Scenic Route affirmation today and let it support you. Excited about where your journey might lead? I certainly am. Remember, the Scenic Route is not just about the destination, but the experiences, learnings, and joy we discover along the way. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing you on the Scenic Route again.